Hey friends! My name is Desiree, aka Mama Friendly, and I do all sorts of videos on my channel, from cooking videos to planner videos, vlogs, hauls, homeschool videos with a Disney twist, a little bit of everything. So if any of that sounds like fun to you, I hope you'll subscribe and join me on my YouTube adventure. Today's video is a collab hosted by Tiffany of Small Town 6 and Jessica of Jessica My Rose. I'm going to have both their channels linked down below, along with a link to the playlist so that once you've watched my video, you can see what all my friends made as well. The theme of this collab is Foodie Friday, and it's basically a recipe free-for-all. It doesn't have to be any particular theme of recipe, it's just share whatever food is on your heart this month. And I've been using these collabs to share monthly Cuban recipes. So for the last year and a half, almost 2 years, every month I've been putting out a new Cuban recipe as kind of a way to introduce Cuban cuisine to beginners, but also as a way to get my own feet wet in cooking these meals that I'm used to having mommy or abuela cook for me. I'm also putting an allergy-friendly twist on the recipes that need them, because I eat gluten and dairy-free, and so if a particular recipe calls authentically or traditionally for ingredients that I can't eat, then I make substitutions where necessary. Many moons ago, I did a recipe for tamal en cazuela, which a lot of people these days know what tamales are. It's basically like a steamed corn cake that's usually stuffed with meat. So tamal en cazuela, or tamal in a pot, translates to kind of a, it's not quite a soup because it's thicker than that, but it's basically what a tamal would be if it weren't wrapped up and steamed, if it were just boiled. It's really delicious, very filling, super hearty, and it's really cheap to make too. When I shared that recipe so many years ago, I followed the recipe of a very popular traditional Cuban cookbook. And I don't know if I did something wrong, very likely, or what happened there, but it just did not turn out great. It was too thick, it was too grainy. I probably used the wrong kind of maíz, of harina, but I found what I believe to be a foolproof recipe, and it turned out absolutely delicious. So I'm going to be sharing that recipe with you today. Without further ado, let's jump right into it, shall we? First things first, you want to do this ahead of time. I've got a pound of pork shoulder. You should have boneless. Mine is not boneless, but I'm gonna take care of that in a minute. You wanna cut it into 1/2-inch pieces or shred it up. You also need a 1/2 cup of mojo marinade. I've got this pre-bottled, pre-made kind. It's the easiest way to do it, but if you can't find this in your Hispanic section of your grocery store, etc., I do have a recipe on the channel already to make your own, which I'll post up in the corner. So I'm just cutting my meat up here. I'm going to put it in a bowl. I'm going to add 1/2 cup of the mojo to the pork. I'm going to cover it with plastic wrap, and I'm going to set it aside to the fridge and let it marinate for an hour. As for the rest of our ingredients, we're going to need 2 cups of finely ground, make sure it's finely ground, yellow cornmeal, 2 cans of cream-style sweet corn, 14 ounces each, 3 tablespoons of olive oil, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of ground cumin, 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, a small white onion finely diced, a small green pepper finely diced, 3 cloves of garlic minced, a 1/2 cup of Spanish cooking wine, 4 ounces of tomato sauce, 2 cups of water, and optionally, you could have some chopped parsley for garnish. I'm going to use some dried parsley that I happen to have on hand. You all already know I'm obsessed with my veggie chopper because my knife skills are typically caca, and so every chance I get, I use it. I'm going to have it linked down below in case you'd like to get one for yourself. We're going to begin by mixing our cornmeal, sweet corn, salt, cumin, and black pepper until you get a thick consistency. You could also do this in the food processor, which I do have on hand, but wherever possible, I prefer to use the least equipment as necessary so that the recipes that I share on my channel are as accessible as they possibly can be. Once your corn mixture is combined, we're just going to set it aside. Get a large saucepan or Dutch oven and heat your olive oil in there at medium heat. We're going to take the pork out of the marinade and pat it dry with paper towels, as dry as you can manage, so that the pork will brown rather than steaming. We're going to brown the pieces of pork on all sides in batches for about 8 to 10 minutes. Then we're going to remove the cooked pork pieces with a slotted spoon and set them aside. Now into that same Dutch oven that's got the pork drippings in it, we're going to add in our onions and our green peppers. Saute them at medium heat until they're tender, which should take about 5 minutes. Then we're going to add in our minced garlic and saute for another minute. Now that our veggies are tender, we're going to stir in our corn mixture, our cooked pork pieces, the dry cooking wine, tomato sauce, and water. Give it all a mixy mix so that everything is incorporated, and we're going to reduce our heat to low. This is going to simmer for 30 to 35 minutes until the mixture has thickened. Make sure you stir it pretty frequently to keep the mixture from sticking to the bottom of the pot. It can burn really quickly, so make it a point to stir every few minutes. The consistency should be smooth and thick like a porridge or a polenta. It should not be too runny or too gritty. If it's not thick enough, then you can stir in some cornmeal in 1/4 cup increments until it's as thick as you'd like. But if it's too thick, you can add water in 1/4 cup increments until it's nice and smooth. Once it's ready, you can taste it and adjust for salt if you need to. Serve it immediately, garnish it with your parsley, and enjoy. All right, friends, there's my do-over of tamal en cazuela, and it turned out so much better this time. It's just, like I said earlier, it's cheap, it's super filling, it's delicious. It's definitely something where I understand why this is a staple in so many homes. I'm glad I was able to do it over and find a recipe that really works. With that being said, if there is a Cuban meal that I have not yet shared on the channel, remember I have a playlist that I have going up here, and there's I think maybe 20 or 30 recipes on there already. But if there's something that I've not made for you guys yet and you'd like to see me give it a try, leave your suggestions in the comments below. As always, I want to thank you all so much for being here and watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, I hope you'll please give it a big thumbs up. I'd also love it if you would subscribe and click the notification bell, because I post at least 3 times a week and I wouldn't want you to miss a minute. Thanks so much again for watching. Hasta la próxima!